We can still discuss something if you like.
I wrote down one question. Like I have like this energy blockages, and one is in the throat, and the other one is in the solar plexus. And like through this, it's like sometimes they open up, and you hit a new blockage, and this time it's in the throat, and it's really like a really big one. Like I've been having issues with my throat since I was a kid, and it's kind of, and I also had like a surgery, but it's like it's been working. So I know that things are happening, but I was just like with this, like it's so obvious blockage. Like, could you speed it up? Could you kind of do it faster, or any tips? You know.
Well, yesterday we did. Johanna was mentioning about soreness of eyes, and so that's what you can do. Just stretch and open up those parts physically.
Okay.
Find a way to get to those parts of your body physically, and that will also help energetically.
Okay.
Kim.
Luke.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that.
No.
I have a quick question on karma. So my understanding that I've gathered, I suppose, years through mostly here is, so if we have karma stored from past lives, like inbuilt, like from previous lives, and then we're also creating karma in our own life, like our own actions, and what you were talking about earlier with our own choices. It's our responsibility, consequences to our own behaviors. So with practice, I was just wondering, in terms of making progress, like let's just say we're practicing on a regular basis and sitting every day, attending retreats, but then in the rest of our lives we're still like acting, indulging in things, addictive, impulsive, compulsive behavior, and we're gathering negative karma, and then we're practicing and sitting at the same time in the same period. So it's like you could argue that we're just staying in still, we're not progressing, because with the positivity of the sitting and the practice, we're like balancing it out with negative behavior stuff, let's say. So we've also got the history of past lives karma potentially in the mix as well. So I'm wondering, if we really want to progress, and this ties into what Maxime was talking about earlier, if we feel we're progressing in our spiritual lives on the path and actually deepening and purifying, where does ethics, or like how do we, I suppose, how do we get clarity around our behavior in terms of right action in order to progress? You know what I'm kind of getting at?
Yes. Well, when it comes to ethics, as you can read from, there's a bit on that in the preliminary practices booklet. There's a bit on non-harming and honesty. in there. So to remind oneself, this is how I've done it. So ever since I started practicing, I have reminded myself every now and then about being honest, very honest to myself, about my actions, about my desires, about my intentions. You know, just being very honest. I don't want to use brutally honest because it's not like a brutal action, but being very honest, completely honest.
Rigorous.
Yeah.
And in that sense, through that idea of honesty, keeping myself in check. And actually, I remember a story of a very famous Bengali tantric master called Lahiri Mahashaya. He's in the Mahasiddha family. There was a person coming to him, and he was a bad liar. Like, he was lying all the time. This person who came to the master and asked that, can you give me an initiation to Tantra? I want to start practicing Tantra. And so the master knew that he was a bad liar. So he told him that, no, I will not give you an initiation, but if you practice just being honest for a few months, then I will give it to you. And he left, a little bit pissed off, of course, because he didn't get what he wanted. And then it completely changed his life, because, you know, he started being honest. He started thinking honestly to himself, started saying things that were honest rather than lying, and it completely changed his life. So he came back a few months later as a completely changed person and got the empowerment. And that, you know, in my experience, that very simple, I'm at loss of words here, but that simple trick, that ethical guideline, you know, it goes a long, long way in the recognition of the natural state itself. Because when we are, how should I say, true versions of ourselves, when we live and are in the recognition of Buddha nature, we don't lie. Which is, of course, it means being honest. So if anyone just reminds himself of being honest, that goes a long way. And on the other hand, you know, if that basic ethical foundation is not there, if you kind of let yourself, you know, you're not vigilant about your ethical values, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of highest tantric practices you do, it doesn't get you, you know, you don't advance. Very, 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 very little benefits of high practices in that case. And I have actually met and seen people like this who have become teachers and are, you know, it's awful. It's awful. And there's also a saying that goes that, you know, ethics is the first and last training. And there's definitely, in my experience, truth to that. What was your question again, Luke?
Well, what I was wondering was, you know, about the balance between the sort of our karmic condition and our practice. It seems to me that sometimes it feels like I'm staying still. My level of practice is just balancing out my karma so that I'm able to like keep my head above the water, but I'm not soaring because I'm weighed down still by my karma, by some behaviors, things that still drag me down. and then I do practice, and it sort of keeps me sort of, that's why I refer to Maxim, because he was sort of getting at that thing of feeling that he wasn't making sort of progress. And so that's, yeah, it's that kind of feeling of, you know, a little bit stuck, or the two things, and I suppose, yeah,
it is very difficult, in my experience, with this practice, it's very difficult to plateau. Like really plateau, like that you don't, nothing happens in years. That was the situation when I started coming to UK and Ireland. You know, the whole Sangha there had pretty much plateaued. It was like a stale air in the room. I remember the first retreat in 2017-18 winter retreat. That was hard work, you know, not only for you, but for me as well. And for several retreats after that, because it had continued for long enough to kind of become so stale. But so I said that with this practice, it's very difficult to really plateau. If you do the practice, you know, you won't plateau, I promise. But also don't be fooled by the idea of wanting or having to make progress. Progress in this type of meditation practice, Buddhist practice, Vajrayana practice, always means becoming clearer in your mind. And if we talk about, like, it can feel also kind of a physical or semi-physical sensations, that when your mind becomes clearer, you can actually feel in your aura that there's actually more open space, rather than hornets and junk flying around in your aura like this, that there's actually more space, and more and more and more as you continue practice. So the point I'm making is that progress doesn't mean, like I've said several times during this weekend also, it doesn't mean attaining some kind of an exalted or heavenly or holy state. It just means clarity, that softness of heart and groundedness of your whole being. Okay?
yeah, no, yeah, that's my experience so far, you know, also. I mean, yeah, it actually is, even though, but I still get caught by moments, you know, I still get caught in confusion sometimes, and that's just something I sometimes
but I think you're now confusing two things. So then you need to apply the practice and not start worrying, rather, instead of worrying about I'm not making any progress, because the progress comes through staying with those impulses and compulsions. Is that right? Compulsions.
Compulsions, yeah.
So don't worry, Luke.
Thank you.
Kim, on what Oscar was saying about having some part of the body that is kind of repeatedly holding tensions or something like that, or there's blockages. Mm-hmm. For me, it would be in the hips a lot, where I hold a lot of stuff. Or I seem to hold a lot. There's like, for years, my hips would generally be locked and very, like anytime I do Rushen, a hell of a lot comes out of the hips. And even after like 2 years of, not that I do Rushen every day or every week, but every now and then I do it, and there's still intense stuff coming from the hips all the time. And I wonder, rather than just physical stuff, could you do like maybe mantras into the centers in those areas or something? Or
of course. Yeah,
maybe
you can
direct more mantras or or impairment. So
Yeah. You mean, I mean, yeah, just open the, is it nozzle? Nozzle? Like open put the mantra there and just let it
yeah,
flow through, flush through your system.
yeah.
Have your hips opened
and-
up then, Manus?
Sorry?
Have they loosened up?
A bit, but there's still seems like there's still a lot stored there. Like,
But what you can also do is start practicing yoga, stretching.
Yeah, I do a bit, but yeah, it just seems like there's lifetimes of it. Like it feels like I could be at it a lifetime, and
Nonsense. It will be different if you start practicing yoga. It'll be different in few weeks or couple of months.
Okay, yeah.
That's the benefit of being an organic being. The body is an organic organism, so you can change how it is.
Pilates is I think pretty good for hips.
Yeah, sure.
And on what Luke was talking about, like just kind of how you feel about yourself in terms of behavior, or just to kind of having these obstacles or things in your mind that kind of might hold you back or affect you negatively. What I've gotten great benefit from, which we've mentioned before, is the smoke offering. I don't know if that's the right type of suggestion for that, but having done the smoke offering a good few times, definitely had an impact on me and stuff I was carrying, and like parts of my mind that seemed to be kind of holding me back or repeatedly sort of, I don't know, creating obstacles or something. I think definitely felt this sense of being freed up from doing the smoke offering.
That's beautiful. I was just thinking of smoke offering earlier today. I haven't done myself, like I don't do it regularly, but well, in a formal way, I don't do it regularly, but I smoke incense every day. And there's the tanka of Guru Rinpoche there, and every time I smoke a stick, light a stick of incense, I say his mantra a few times and spin the incense in front of him with the same intention like it is in smoke offering, to remove obstacles. But I should do it properly. There's definitely power in that. But something that is, you mentioned the hips and what's the word? What's the opposite of flexible?
Stiff.
Stiff
Or
hips.
immobile. Yeah,
stiff hips. It's a curious thing, like what is physical and what is non-physical. That's a really interesting question, because it kind of sometimes seems that it's one or the other. Sometimes it seems that it's both. But that's just, it just indicates how body and mind are two different things, but also very closely related. So one affects the other.
I was watching this guy on YouTube, David Goggins. He's like this fitness. He was an American Navy SEAL guy, and he's a motivational sort of person. But he said, like, because of his traumatic childhood and all the stress that he had growing up, when he got to a certain age, he realized that his whole hips and lower back were completely locked up. And if he went to a physio or something, they said that it was like he was the stiffest person ever, as a result of just being kind of tense through his whole like childhood, teenage years, and the trauma and kind of fight or flight stuff, and being frozen or whatever. And like someone said to him, it's going to take you like 50,000 hours of stretching to like release your hip flexors and different muscles and stuff like that. But I can relate to what he was saying, just like how it just over time really accumulated and just became very locked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is interesting, the connection between the psychological and the physical.
Yeah.
I just wondered what you've got to say about it's continuing on a theme of the difference between, say, emotional pain when you're sitting and physical pain. There seems to be quite a distinct difference. You can tell when something feels emotional, when something feels physical. And I've recently started to go talk to a therapist about specific blocks, and I found it quite helpful because it's made me realise how antagonistic I was towards, the block, in the sense that I just, I might view myself in a particular way, a week or just, and I wanted the thing to go away, and obviously that's just causing problems, and it's not moving through. I just wondered what you thought about sort of going to talk to someone, or because it's actually helped me sort of it's been with me for a long time. And that what Manas was saying about frozen, she used the word frozen, and it sort of really struck a chord with me. Oh yeah, this area of my body's just frozen. Feels like it's frozen emotionally, sort of. So I found it quite useful. I just wondered. I know that Aloka, my previous teacher, didn't think much of it, and which is why I never went to see anyone really. I have found it quite helpful.
Yeah, sure. That's one option. Talk about it to a trusted friend or a therapist. Talk about it to your diary. That's a classic one. And what I've done also is sometimes when I felt the need for it, is to just talk to myself, just describe how I feel. If there's something that some particular person in my past or some painful memory or something, explain it to myself like I would explain it to a trusted friend, diary, or a therapist. Okay, so you can also try doing it yourself and see how it works, but I don't see no problem at all in seeing a therapist. Whatever helps, whatever works.
Perhaps, Kim, you can expand on your idea of what surrender is. I was chatting to this, Oogie helped me out a lot actually, with his explanation of how to approach these tantric meditations, and kind of pointed out to me that I wasn't surrendering enough, and I found this actually very useful. So I felt like I've made a lot of progress in the last week or so.
Yes.
Just the idea of just letting go to whatever sensations arise, and wherever your attention is taken, let it be. And so that's what I've been doing. So I wondered what your sort of interpretation of surrender is.
Oh, that's a good one. So surrender is an antidote to control. Control, if it's voluntary control, concentration, no problem. When it's involuntary control, like just being tense and nervous, different story. So I often say that relaxation and surrender are close to each other, but you can kind of relax while having like a fear-based, self-based control while you're relaxed. On the other hand, if we in the place of the words relaxation, relaxing, we put surrender, it gives a completely different spin. And this is why I often use the image of, you know, when you are, now it's summer, so when you're on the beach and sun is shining, you know, it is very easy to just lay there on your towel or sunbathing chair, and that's surrendering to light and warmth of the sun. You know, that's a perfect description, because it's very easy to understand that when you lie down and you start feeling the warmth and you enjoy the light, it's very easy to understand how there's no control at all. You don't try to somehow grab the light and put it into your body or into your, you know, you don't try to manipulate it in any way or control it. You're just there. Complete surrender, complete openness, and it arrives. And there's a big difference there, of course, you know. And there, when big difference between if there is control, even a little bit of control, little bit of expectation in comparison to just surrendering.
Yeah, I've definitely, it's worked really well when I've heard your descriptions of just bathing in the blessings. I know that one's definitely worked for me, so that makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
My pleasure. To me, it was a really big one, actually. I remember after my Zen days, you know, oh gosh, I kind of feel tight in my chest instantly thinking about it, you know. And that was years ago. That was 15 years ago when I started practicing Zen. But it was all about squeeze and keep squeezing. You know, it was all about control, and you know, it didn't work well for me. It was a nervous breakdown because I didn't have any psychological issues, but my nervous system heated up. So I was literally, in the summer of 2006, after all those Zen years, I was pouring sweat for 2 days in a row. 2 days non-stop, sweating, like my shirts becoming soaked. So it just, after that experience, it just didn't make sense to me anymore. And I've talked about this a lot since then. And I've also questioned the validity of many traditional practices that loads of Buddhists do. Like, I kind of criticized the traditional shamatha method, and you know, there's all kinds of methods like koans in Zen Buddhism that actually don't work for people that well. So a lot of traditional practices are just little relevant or completely irrelevant, just useless stuff, baggage put into a tradition over centuries. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, my Zen days. So I had this overheating, and it kind of woke me up that this is going nowhere. I've been following the instructions verbatim for years and put all my time and energy into it, and I end up with this problem and never had an awakening experience. So when I learned about surrender, that was like sweet, sweet music to my ears. I just completely clicked with it after those years of trying to control time, focus, concentration, and then just, what the heck, just surrender. It was perfect for me at that stage. So knock yourself out, Chris, with surrender.
Yes, I brought some of that rigidity, Kim, from the Zen practice into open heart. And I remember with the two-part formula, being in a position of finding it difficult to get into the selfless state. And I remember you saying to me, Joe, just forget all you have known about meditation and all you've learned about meditation. And just as if you come back in the evening time, you've done a good day's work, or you've come from a good workout, and the sun is shining, and you've a lounger out at the back, the sun is shining, and you just lie back and relax and just be at one with the world. And I found that very, very helpful.
Yeah.
I
remember other part of your guidance where you got pissed off. I could feel it, Joe. I still remember how it felt.
Oh, yes. I know where I felt, where I wanted you to stick your two-part formula. Yeah. Yeah, for the benefit of everyone. It was just that I was feeling so angry. Kim was saying to me, I want you to practice this more. I want you to practice this more. And I was coming back and I was saying that, in fact, that the self is getting weaker. So I was emailing this. Then the next time I was saying, oh, yes, the self is getting weaker. The self is getting weaker. And I just got this email back from Kim and he said, do you fucking really want this, or what the fuck are you at? And I was livid. I was absolutely livid. And I remember going to bed that night. I actually slept, but I woke at 6 the next morning and the anger was there. It was really, really, really there. And I was on my side and I said, I am actually going to text Kim and I'm going to tell him to stick his two-part formula, you know, where the sun don't shine. And with that, I turned on my back. I just turned on my back, and it came to me. I just started to hear a locust voice coming to me and saying, Joe, you have always looked out. You have always blamed other people. This is inside. And this tremendous peace just came over me, you know, and that was it. After many false dawns came, you know, like, but it was, yes, yeah. I found it helpful about that lack of, you know, letting that control go, letting that, you know, from the relaxation point of view, you know.
Fond memories.
Yeah. I also found helpful there when you said just like a cube of sugar melting in a cup of coffee, so the samsaric mind dissolves in the natural state or the basic state. I found that good. You know, that picture just very good.
could we use that previous part by Joe as an advertisement for two-part formula?
No.
No.
We use gentle methods.
But I think that's more honest than you want to increase your happiness, you want to feel more peaceful. Come on, you know.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Ugi, please. Ugi leads us through basic prayers.
Very good. We start with my all beings. No, that's the second part. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. And then we go to absolute refuge. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. And then 3 times, may all beings be free. 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 And absolute bodhicitta. All beings are free 3 times. All beings are free. All beings are free. All beings are... Sorry, there is a fire alarm going on in my house right now. Sorry. It will take care of itself. I just repeat. All beings are free. All beings are free. All beings are free. And then dedication of merit. May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge and to all sentient beings. And joining hands.
Thanks, Ugi. Well done.
Thanks, Ugi.
I was smelling the smoke already.
Yeah.
My flatmate is cooking something, and it doesn't happen for the first time that he gets the fire alarm ringing. And then it was like, okay, that's not the bell. It's too constant. Sorry for that.
I already thought that you're gonna burn alive, burn to death. You are too scared to run away because Kim will be angry if you quit.
Yeah.
I'd rather burn.
But you go straight to the Pure Land, if you did.
But that would be kind of a flat end for the weekend retreat to see Ugi actually burn there on his window.
Mm.
You could pretend it was a protest or something against the state of the world.
Mm.
And we didn't even get to finish the prayers.
Protest against samsara.
Yeah.
If it's not Zoom bombing, it's Ugi burning himself alive.
With the fondue set.
Thank you, everyone, for this weekend. It was a lovely, lovely practice.
Thanks,
Lovely
Kim.
time together. Thank you for the money you have sent me. Thank you very much. I think I mentioned the summer retreat. Yeah. When I started on Friday, I mentioned about our annual retreat schedule. So we have the week-long retreat in July. From, is it 17th or 18th until 25th, something like that, those dates. You can check them from the website. So that will happen through Zoom. I think I mentioned that too. You know, unfortunately, we couldn't have a proper summer retreat yet, but we don't have any events in August, but is it September? Is it Finland or Ireland or Birmingham? What is it? September.
Just a sec.
Not Ireland, anyway.
Ireland is October.
Okay. Autumn retreat. Yeah.
So UK, Birmingham.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like, I guess it's safe to say that we get back to live events in September in Birmingham. And this spring has been fruitful also in that sense that, you know, I have seen and we have seen that more people can join retreats when they are offered online, like through Zoom, like this retreat. So we discussed this, was it at the end of last retreat? And I think it's a good idea that we'll try to have both live retreat for those who can come and then online retreat for those who can't make it on location. So more people can still practice together. I think that this will be made like a new standard from now on, that both are available. Yeah.
Do you mean one online and one live, or do you mean making like zooming the live retreats so people can join in on them?
Zooming the live retreats.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Kim, do you want to say something about your teacher's retreat? Is it in a fortnight's time?
Oh, yeah. Good that you reminded. So, well, Lisa, there's this person called Lisa Lauren. Lisa is originally from New Zealand, and she, if I whisper it, maybe I will be forgiven, but she's around 60 years old. So she's been around practicing for many decades. I think it was improper to say that actually, but she's been practicing with a couple of lamas of Tibetan Buddhism for the last 35 years, since she was 25 years old. She was a close student of Dilgo Rinpoche, and then after 6 years with Dilgo Khyentse, she continued with Chatrol Rinpoche. Chatrol Rinpoche is as famous as Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. And I've known Lisa for a couple of years now. And now, because this lockdown is happening, I asked her to teach our Sangha, 6 months ago, and she gladly agreed. And because of this lockdown, however, her retreat is now held through Zoom. So that's happening, is it in 2 weeks? 2 weeks time. The weekend, 2 weeks from now. And that event is only for Pemako Sangha members. So that Zoom link and information is not publicly available. So there are a few people here joining this retreat who are not in the Sangha yet. So I mentioned this retreat, so if you want to join, just throw me an email and I send you the information that you can join. But so it's not publicly open retreat for everybody to join, but just for Pemako Sangha members. And yeah, that is coming up in 2 weeks, Lisa's retreat. And it's like a, Joe, you said that my teacher's retreat, it's not like I kind of don't feel her student yet. We are kind of sharing things back and forth and like that. But she's a wonderful person for sure. We have meditated a number of times together, and as you all know, if you have what's the word? Well, I can't make the joke because I don't remember the word, but if you have read my blog during the several years, you know that I've been quite critical about different things and traditions and teachers, because there's so much nonsense and just a lot of problems in established systems. But I have practiced together with Lisa, and I can say that her experience and transmission is excellent. She really is an authentic lineage holder of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and Chatrol Rinpoche. And that is why I asked her to teach myself and my students as well. It's good for practitioners to get transmission and different perspective from more than one teacher. So I've been looking for such teachers for years, but Lisa is kind of the first one who I felt like asking that. So that's also coming. Join if you can. Another thing now that I remember that I wanted to mention, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, but is it that Jonathan is guiding a Zoom session on Monday evenings?
Yes, he's UK time, UK Irish time. What is it, James? 1930.
Oh, 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30 to 9:30. And then I'm guiding every Thursday from UK time 5 to 7. 5 to half 6. So everyone is welcome to join those as well. It's a good group on both evenings.
I always forget those sessions. I mean to join, but I just never forget. I never remember to join.
Oh, I'm sure Jonathan would love you to join his session.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not gonna say anything.
But what if I use like some sunglasses and a beard and a hat so that he doesn't recognize me?
Bring some pickles along.
James invited me.
James Ferguson invited me.
I did.
Kim, I just wanted to say, it just strikes me that you say there are a number of people who are actually on this retreat who are not members of the Sangha, and therefore I assume they.
Oh, we lost
Is that
you,
correct?
Joe. Joe, can you repeat? We lost your connection for a moment.
Yeah, you said there are a number of people in the group here at the moment who are not members. Have they done the two-part formula?
I don't know. I don't give awakening guidances anymore, so Carl knows better.
Yeah, no, I just, what I wanted to say was that with regard to my experience and the language and things like that, I would say that if in fact there are people who might be a little bit found that off-putting, that it was due to your skill in seeing that I needed to actually be pushed over the line on it, and that in fact that it was, yeah, it was your skill that actually brought me through that, because you could see that I was on the brink, but I needed to be pushed, you know, and thank you for doing it.
My pleasure, Joe, anytime.
That was such a subtle endorsement there, Joe. It was really.
Great.
I think that actually several have empowerment who are not members. So I could just mention that to be a member, it's just like the Facebook group. There's the Facebook group pemakobuddhism.com, and there's an announcement there with instructions on how to gain access to the actual group. I think it was mentioned also it's always mentioned in the emails after courses as well. So that's what it means to be member and get access to.
Member of the Sangha, you mean?
Member of the Sangha, yes.
Yeah.
Empowerment and having practiced the practices or practicing daily or regularly.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Until
Thanks,
next
everyone.
time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.